Hello, welcome students. You are watching a physics class on chapter physical quantities and measurement. So this is the second part of this chapter. Okay. So today our topic is the density of matter in the three states. And you know very well that there are three states of matter. There is solid, liquid, and gas. And how we can do difference between them? We can only depending upon the arrangement of molecules. Okay. So the tightness of the packing of the molecule decides the density of the substance. So you know very well that in solid the molecules are very closely packed. So this result in the more mass being packed within the small volume. So therefore we can say that solid have high density. In case of liquid, the molecules are not so closely packed as in solid. So less mass is packed in the same volume. So therefore we can say that liquid have lower density as compared to the solid. So most liquid have lower density than the solid, whereas in gases the particles are very loosely packed in the same volume. So therefore we can say that gases have much lower density as compared to solid and liquid. Okay. So you must keep in mind that solid are denser than all liquid. Like for example, suppose cork. Cork is a solid, but it has less density as compared to water. Okay, so this is some of the exceptional case. So how will you know that whether the substance will float or sink? So you must know that if the density is the density is greater than 1, then we can say that substances will sink down in the water. Okay, because the density of water is 1 kg per meter cube. Okay, or density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cube. So when it is greater than 1, then the substance will sink down in the bottom of liquid. But when the density is less than 1 gram per centimeter cube, then we can say it will float on water. Okay, so now I've already told you that relative density of a substance decides whether it will sink or float in water. So all the substances that have a relative density of less than 1, such as wood, cork, ice, they will float on water. So these substances have a lower density than water. Okay, so they have the less mass packed in a given volume as compared to the water. So whereas when the substances have a relative density more than 1, such as lead, copper, iron, they sink in water because they have higher density than water. So they have more mass packed in a given volume as compared to the water. Okay. So some solid may float on one liquid but sink in another liquid. As for example, suppose we take the example of water, mercury and iron. If we see that water has a relative density of 1, whereas the iron relative density of 7.8. So when any object made of solid iron will sink in water. However, mercury has a relative density of 13.6. When an object of solid iron is put into a mercury, then it will float on mercury because the iron has less density as compared to mercury. Okay. So similarly, magnesium, aluminum, lead, which have the relative density lower than that of mercury, so they will all float on water while they sink in. They will all float on mercury while they sink in water. Okay. So the degree of the immersion of a solid depends on the relative density. So you must have to find out the density. How? I've already told you by the formula. Density of water divided by density of a substance divided by density of water. Okay, so in this way you will get the relative density. Next is the hydrometer. So what is meant by hydrometer? Hydrometer is an instrument which is used to measure the density of liquid. It consists of a long glass tube with a broad bulb. At the bottom it contains a heavy liquid. Okay, here there is heavy liquid. So a scale with relative density is marked on the center. Here there is the scale which is marked there. Okay. So in order to measure density of a given liquid, this hydrometer is allowed to float in the liquid. The level at which it floats in the liquid. So when it is put in the liquid, it floats. So the level at which it is float, it gives the measure the density of the liquid. So hydrometer sink to different level in different liquid the density can vary at the graduated scale marked on the stem. Now, so in the laboratory, the liquid whose density to be calculated is taken in a graduated cylinder. The hydrometer is immersed in the liquid to be tested to find the density of the liquid. Okay. So next is the displacement and flotation. So now, you must be keep in mind as the relative density of the liquid and solid, the only thing that determines whether the object floats or sinks in water. If a steel ball sinks in water while the ball made of steel float, so both the objects are made up of same substances. Their relative density are also the same. But so why can it there? So the difference is that you have to using the principle of what displacement. So you must keep in mind when an object sinks in water, so there are two type of forces that act on it. One is the upward force and other is the downward force. So downward force means the weight of the body that pushes an object into the liquid, displacing the part of the liquid. Whereas the upthrust force, it pushes the object upward. Okay, so this is called what? Buoyant force. So the buoyant force or upthrust acting on an object is equal to the weight of the liquid that is displaced by the object. So this is known as Archimedes principle. Okay. So now, when the weight of the object is more, अगर ऑब्जेक्ट का वेट ज़्यादा होगा बायन फोर्स से वो क्या हो जाएगा नीचे की तरफ जाएगी ज़्यादा द रिजल्टेंट फोर्स पुशेस द ऑब्जेक्ट डाउन इन दिस केस द ऑब्जेक्ट सिंक इन वाटर जिसके चलते क्या होगी वो ऑब्जेक्ट डूब जाएगी लेकिन अगर दोनों का अगर डाउनवर्ड फोर्स और अपथ्रस्ट फोर्स दोनों अगर बराबर हो तो रिजल्टेंट फोर्स क्या हो जाएगा जीरो हो जाएगा जिसके चलते द ऑब्जेक्ट फ्लोट एट द सरफेस ऑफ द लिक्विड ओके लेकिन अगर डाउनवर्ड फोर्स कम होगा अपथ्रस्ट फोर्स ज़्यादा होगा तो अगर अपथ्रस्ट फोर्स ज़्यादा हुआ तो आप समझ लीजिएगा कि वो डूबेगा नहीं बल्कि वो क्या हो जाएगा इट विल फ्लोट विद द पार्ट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट अबाउट द सरफेस ऑफ द लिक्विड एंड पार्ट बिलो थोड़ा नीचे और थोड़ा ऊपर में हो जाएगा ओके दिस हैपन द डेंसिटी ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट इज लेस देन दैट ऑफ द डेंसिटी ऑफ लिक्विड ओके तो ये आपको क्लियर हो गया फिर नेक्स्ट फिर हम बात करेंगे इफेक्टिव वॉल्यूम के ऊपर में जैसे कि आपने देखा पानी वाला जो जहाज है उसका वॉल्यूम बहुत ज़्यादा होता है तो अंदर में जितना वॉल्यूम ज़्यादा होगा उतना डेंसिटी क्या होंगे कम होंगे बिकॉज द वॉल्यूम ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट इज इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू इट्स डेंसिटी ओके so you must keep in mind. Now, some application of the flotation and sink. You know very well floating an iceberg in the sea. You know very well that ice is less density than seawater. So this is because of the phenomenon of the anomalous expansion of water. The mass of a piece of ice is less than the mass of an equivalent volume of water. So therefore we can say iceberg float in seawater. So you must keep in mind that about the 10% of iceberg that we can see above the surface of water, whereas 90% of the iceberg is under the surface. This is due to the relative density of ice, so which is 0.9. 0.9 means 9 by 10. So this means that out of 10 part it will remain under the water, whereas one part of the ice will remain float on it. Okay. So now floating ship. We saw earlier a steel ball sink and steel ball float on water. So this is principle of the you to build the ship. So you know very well the ships are hollow and are built to show that the mass of the water that displays is more than the mass of ship itself. So that the buoyant force acting upward on the ship is more as compared to the weight of the ship. This causes the ship to float on water. Okay. Now submarine. So submarine are also hollow and watertight vehicles. They are built in such a way that they displace more water and then the mass of a submarine. So this makes them float on water. However, they can also be sink. How? They can be achieved by using a tank by the suction pump inside the submarine, which can be filled with water. When the water is filled, then the buoyant force will get less, whereas as compared to the weight of the submarine. So due to the weight of the submarine is greater than, then it becomes what? Then it sinking below the surface of water. Okay. So this means that this submarine comes towards the surface of water, maybe sink the under the surface of water. That depend on the tank. Okay, that depend on the tank, depending on the piston when it move upward or downward. When it move inward, then this means that water will comes out. When the comes out, then the volume inside the submarine tank will increases. Okay, when the volume will decreases, then the density will also will increase. Then density will increases. Then in such cases, it will what sink down under the water. Okay, in the same way, the swim bladder of the fish. So you know very well, the fishes have the swim bladder. So they have the air-filled organ within the body of the fishes. The swim bladder of these fishes act like a tank on the submarine. The amount of air or water in the swim bladder decide whether a fish sink in the water or rises up. In the helium balloon. So helium is also low density than air. So thus a balloon filled with helium is lighter than an equal volume of air. So this causes the balloon to rise up when left free. Okay, so up to here, so I have already completed the physical quantities and measurement. In the next classes, I will discuss on the numerical problems. Okay, so I hope so you have to understand this classes very easily. So we will see you in the next classes. Okay, bye bye.